Welcome back, everybody. This is a continuation of the previous episode, which was the basics of move and copy, which move is used to rename and move files, and copy is used to copy files. But I did mention there is an option you can add in there to only copy files if it's a new version or if that file doesn't already exist in the destination. And that's what I want to show you in this video. So let's take a look at how I ended the last video, which was showing that we have two files, one called important and one called junk, and these are located in two locations. We have them in our home directory, which is our current working directory, and then we also have them in the docs directory. And you can see that these timestamps are older than these ones here. So if we were to say mv important and junk, and we wanted to move these to the docs directory, but we only wanted to do this if the current files were newer than the destination, then all you have to do is you add the U option or update. But we'll just stick with the shorthand -U, hit enter, and now let's repeat these listings. So we'll list the current directory and we will list docs. You can see that these timestamps were not changed and it doesn't appear that anything happened. If you want to see file by file what's happening, if things are being replaced or not, you can add another option here, which is V for verbose. So we hit enter, we get nothing, and that's basically telling us that nothing is happening, no files are being moved or any files being replaced. And that makes sense because these timestamps are older, so it wouldn't make sense to replace these newer ones with these older ones, and that's exactly what this U option does. So we only want to update files if the source is newer than the destination. But let's go through an example where that's not the case. What we're going to do is we're going to touch another file. We'll just call this log. Now, when we issue this previous command and we add in the file log, it should move the file over as it doesn't exist in the destination. So we'll hit enter, renamed log to docs/log. Is exactly what we were expecting. Now let's go ahead and show another case where we change the timestamps for the files and see the same thing happen. So what we can do now is we could say ls-l for the working directory and then ls-l for the docs directory, and we can compare these timestamps. So you can see that log was actually moved from here to here. If we go ahead and update a timestamp with the touch command, we'll say touch important. I don't want to touch junk. Now we can reissue that and see that this has an updated timestamp, 8:53. So when we move it into the docs directory, it'll notice that the important in the source, the current working directory, is newer than the destination, so it will overwrite it. So let's take a look at what that looks like. We'll hit enter. Oh, then it's giving us a problem because that log file doesn't exist in the current working directory anymore because we moved it. So we just want to move important and junk into docs. And when we do this, well, it worked the first time. So renamed important to docs important. So now when we take a look at the files in the working directory, you can see that important was moved because it had an updated timestamp, and we can see that inside of the docs directory. There we go. Now let's see the same thing with the copy command. So if we wanted to say copy junk to docs junk, and let's go ahead and add in our options. We'll add in U for update and V for verbose. And let's just add in I just for fun, interactive, so that'll ask us if we want to replace any files. So we'll hit enter. Right now, it does absolutely nothing because, again, the timestamp for this junk is earlier. It's an older file than this one here. So let's just go ahead and do it. We'll touch junk. And now when we issue this command, it asks us if we want to overwrite docs junk. We'll say yes. And it responds that junk was copied to docs junk. So now we should be able to say ls-l, see that junk still exists because we're using copy instead of move. And we can do the same thing for the docs directory and see that these junks are the same and it was properly copied from here to there. So that was a lot of information, but long story short, there's 3 options you should be familiar with: I for interactive, U for update, and V for verbose. I interactive is going to ask if you want to overwrite anything before it just does it. U for update, that's only going to move or copy the file if the destination is older or that file doesn't exist in that destination. And then the last one is verbose, which is going to detail each step that happens in the output. So a lot of information, but not too bad. That's why I wanted to reference the book and just say sometimes it's good to have some source of material that is text as opposed to video, just because you can then reference those different options. But again, as a reminder, you guys can always say man, MV, or CP, and you can go and see all these different options in here. There's a lot of other ones you can take a look at, but these commands work pretty similar, with the difference being obvious that copy doesn't delete the source. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the upcoming video. See you then. Peace out.